Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Boxer Boxing. Now, man, wild news, man. Wild news, man. George Kambosos and Devin Haney, man, they're finally seemingly going to fight each other with Lomachenko staying in Ukraine to fight on the front lines in the war. Or he's going to be in the war in some kind of pedigree. I'm not sure if he's going to be in the front lines, but he's staying to fight for his country nevertheless. Now, that being said, Lomachenko's in Ukraine and they're having conflict with Russia right now. And Lomachenko decided to go to Ukraine to actually fight in the war, right? Him and Alexander Usyk, they both, filed paperwork to go to Ukraine in a fight, and they're there and they're staying. They're not going to go anywhere. So all that being said, Kambosos was supposed to be fighting Lomachenko. That's where the reports were. They were saying that Lomachenko was trying to do whatever he needs to do to get out the Ukraine to fight Kambosos. At least that was being reported by Mike Coppinger. And it turned out that, after much thinking, and let's be honest, there was a lot of flashback from Lomachenko leaving the Ukraine to fight George Kambosos. All that being said, Lomachenko reconsidered and he decided to stay in Ukraine to fight the conflict with Russia right now. So that being said, man, Kambosos has been painted into a corner, man. Kambosos was trying to fight the man in the moon. He was trying to fight everyone besides Devin the Dream Haney. And this is a really big deal because understand, Devin Haney, the kid is young, he's hungry, right? He has the look. The guy is the closest thing you can get to a prodigy at the 135 division. Understand that out of all the champions, Devin Haney is the youngest. The guy is real young, 23 years old, and early in his career, even before he was professional, he was training with Mayweather. Mayweather knew Devin Haney before he was a star. So you can see old videos of Devin Haney and Floyd Mayweather training together, i.e. Devin the Dream Haney being a prodigy. Around greatness for a while. He was around, his father put him around the greatest of all time to see, his skills, to, get the tidbits he needs to become a superstar. Sometimes it's the most subtle things that really elevate a fighter's pedigree to championship level. Now, that being said, man, Devin Haney, it's awe inspiring to even see him get hit with a clean shot. People are still talking about him versus Jorge Linares and how Linares wobbled him because he was able to get a clean hit on him. It's really rare for Devin Haney to even get hit at all. And when it does happen, it's shocking. Now, Jorge Linares infamously dropped Lomachenko. Devin Haney not only took the punches from Jorge Linares, but he didn't get dropped. So all that being said, man, Devin Haney is a big dog in the division, the 135 division, and he's gunning to become the youngest undisputed champion, at least of this generation, right? So that being said, man, they've been going back and forth with Devin Haney and George Kambosos, man. Wild stuff. Understand that, George Kambosos is playing like this happened just because he wanted it to happen, which really, Kambosos, he used all options necessary, and then it was basically trial by error. Tried every fighter he could possibly get, and then the last one left was Devin the Dream Haney. So this is, let's not play games. Devin Haney, he even said himself, and I quote, "My energy will forever be the same. You were forced into his position. Let's not confuse the people." Right? He's saying that, hey man, you're forced to take this fight. You really don't have a choice. You can't fight Lomachenko. You can't fight A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You're gonna have to fight me. And this is the undisputed fight. There's only so many of these fighters in boxing history. I believe there's only like 7 of these undisputed champions in boxing, period, to have all 4 titles. So, this no one's gonna fault a person losing for undisputed. You know, they're gonna see the best fighting the best, and they're gonna give win or lose both fighters credit for trying to really become undisputed. You know, at least that's how it should be. You know, in boxing, the sad reality is the winner gets all the credit. The loser, you know, he has to pick himself back up. Now, it's wild stuff, man. George Kambosos beating Teofimo Lopez. He's seen as the Buster Douglas of boxing, the guy who beat the man, and he wasn't supposed to be there. He's not supposed to have all these titles, but George Kambosos does have all these titles. Therefore, you know, Kambosos has a lot to prove. Was he a one-hit wonder? We're gonna see, man. George Kambosos, if you look closely in his career, he has trained with Manny Pacquiao, so we have to give him credit for that. He has been in boxing fighting top dogs just in the shadows. No one just knew who he was because he didn't have a real opportunity. But when he did finally get the opportunity to fight Teofimo Lopez, he showed out, man. He showed up and showed out. So, you know, with this fight happening in Australia, if Kambosos gives the same energetic level of fighting he did with Teofimo Lopez, you know, Devin Haney is gonna really have to go all out to get this W. You know, Devin Haney has a phenomenal jab, really good movement, you know, but but George Kambosos, he has pretty good movement and he's extremely active. Will Devin Haney's boxing offset his being active? We'll see, man. There's a lot of fighters, for example, since we're talking about the ones for 35 division, Gervonta Tank Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is known for throwing 100 punches per round, and Gervonta Tank Davis throws around 30-something punches per round. Understand what Leo Santa Cruz fought my boy Gervonta Tank Davis. He couldn't throw those many punches because for every punch he missed, he got to pay with getting hit by a power shot from Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, Devin Haney doesn't have that kind of pop, but he has the boxing ability. Is George Kambosos going to be able to throw those kind of combinations he threw on Teofimo Lopez on Devin Haney when Devin Haney is going to just be out of range? We're going to see, man. We're going to see. But understand that big fights have happened in Australia. One of the biggest one in recent memory was Jeff Horn versus Manny Pacquiao. And Pacquiao couldn't get a decision over there in Australia. You know, what can Devin Haney do? We're going to see, man. Me personally, I'm leaning toward Devin Haney just because we've seen him fight guys, like I said earlier, Jorge Linares. And Jorge Linares is an elite level fighter. Devin Haney just embarrassed him, wasn't even close. So that being said, you know, Devin Haney, you know, and he was being trained by Mayweather early in his career. Devin Haney beat Gamboa. You know, he dominated Joseph Diaz. He has a lot of big wins in his record. It's not just one big win like George Kambosos had with Teofimo Lopez. These are elite level fighters. One of them being a mandatory in Joseph Diaz, right? So we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, man. You know, this is gonna be one of the biggest fights of the year. No, of history actually, because it's undisputed, right? These are the fights that people will remember forever. Yeah, right? Youngest undisputed champion, like I said, Devin Haney, but we can't look past George Kambosos. It's just George Kambosos, he was talking so much trash about Teofimo Lopez not taking the Devin Haney fight, and then when George Kambosos gets the titles, he pulls the same trickery. So that was really, you know, it raised an eyebrow. It raised an eyebrow in George Kambosos, really his movements in the sport of boxing, as far as getting the titles, talking big, meeting up with Devin Haney, shaking his hand, talking about, yeah, I'm going to fight you next. I mean, he had a whole tour when he was talking about fighting Devin Haney, but when it came down to it, he tried to avoid him by giving, you know, everyone a chance besides Devin Haney. You know, don't make any mistake about it. If Lomachenko wasn't bound to the Ukraine right now and they weren't having that conflict, George Kambosos would be fighting Vasyl Lomachenko right now, right? This is call a spade, right? But luckily that's not happening, and this is going to be a big fight, a fight that is historic. This is the biggest fight that can be made, not just in boxing, but for history. Young, undefeated 23-year-old fighter who's been trained by Mayweather early in his life, 23 years old. You know, we're gonna see what happens. Anyway, man, you know, I thought this is crazy stuff, man. This is gonna be a big deal. Fight's gonna be soon. So let me know how you guys feel about it though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire. Geoboxing Empire. Peace.